I know you're big on the soul. You talk about the soul, the mind, but can you clarify when you talk about the soul? Many people say soul and spirit interchangeably. How do you define that?
So we have to clarify the difference between spirit and soul. And I believe Paul did this beautifully. He gives us like the ultimate blueprint of this in his letters. In First Thessalonians 5:23, he outlines our three-part being, our nature. And then in Romans 7, he begins to expose the internal tension between these dimensions. And so we have to realize that we are a spirit and we have a soul and we live in a body. So we are a spirit, we have a soul, and we live in a body. First Thessalonians 5:23, Paul tells us that now may the God of peace make you holy in every way, and may your whole spirit and soul and body be kept blameless until our Lord Jesus Christ comes. So right there, he says, may our whole spirit, may our soul and our body. So he begins to lay out that we aren't just this body that we have, that we are a spirit, we have a soul, and we live in this body. And so we are multidimensional. And by us being a spirit and having a soul and living in a body, the spirit part of us is that it's the deepest part. It's our innermost core. It's our connection to the spiritual realm. And I believe this is something that all religions have in common. You know, deep down at its core, they believe that there is this we say this external power, this external being, but we'll soon find out that it's on the inside of us because it's we are one with that creator. And so that connects us, our spirit connects us to that higher power. And then we have to understand that the spiritual world is actually the causal world or causal realm. Like nothing happens in the physical or in this body, the physical realm, unless it first goes through the spirit. And so the body is simply the earth suit that we have. You know, it's we need that to legally be here in the earth realm. I know we put a lot of emphasis on the body, but it's really, you know, the least of this. And so the soul is comprised of our mind, our emotions, and our will. So the soul is our mind, our emotions, and our will. And Paul beautifully exposes this internal civil war and cry for rescue that happens when these dimensions are not in alignment. And he wrote to the Roman church in Romans 7:22 through 24. He says that he loves God's law with all his heart, but there is another power within him that is at war with the mind. This is the soulish realm, and it's making
Yeah.
him a slave to sin, and that sin is within him. And then he goes on to say, oh, what a miserable person I am. Who will free me from this life that is dominated by sin and by death? So right there, Paul was able to realize that, you know, there's a war going on between me. It's not a war between the soul and the spirit. It's not even a war between the soul and the physical world or the body. It's a war between this physical world and the spirit, who's trying to dominate the soul. And so most people focus on external success, you know, money, careers, physical fitness, all these things, which are, you know, good. But it's a lot of emphasis put on those things that are external. But the
Mhm.
Bible tells us in 3 John 1 and 2 that we prosper and stay in good health, even as our soul prospers. And so if you have a great career, you can have but a broken mind or $1 million in unstable emotions, you aren't truly successful. You're just a decorated house with a crumbling foundation. And so soul success is all about tending to the bridge so that your life is in perfect alignment and it can flow with organic success. And when I say bridge, I'm talking about the soul, because remember, you have the spirit, you have the soul, and then you have the body. The soul is right there in the middle, and it's the bridge where this that allows the spirit to come into our lives, into this physical world and transform it. But vice versa, we can allow the physical external world to penetrate our spirit, to penetrate our soul, and then that kind of diminishes our spirit man. That's why you hear people say, they're in low spirits, because they've allowed the physical world to dictate to their mind, will, and emotions, how they're going to act and respond.
This is good. Um, this is really good. And as you talking, I'm over here taking notes myself.